So I guess if I don't like an amplifier, it's my fault. And apparently I'm wrong about the Kemper too. It's never coming out. What's up, you guys? Welcome to another episode of Riffs and Responses. This is where I read and respond to your comments. And I also play some riffs on some amplifiers in between each comment. We got a lot to get into, so let's go ahead and read the first comment now. This one is from Nikki Sayasina. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but anyways, he says, I just got my Splawn Nitro SS, and I think I got a pretty good tone out of it. I was just wondering if you could make a video on some recommended settings for the amplifier. I know you have the full 100 version with the KT88s, while mine is a 50 watt with EL34s and no resonance knob, but I figure there might be some crossover. Hell yeah, dude, it's my pleasure. I'll make the video for you right here. It's real simple. So right here on the screen are the absolute best settings, in my opinion, for the Splawn Nitro. Now, I've had this amplifier for a while now, and because of my KHE switcher, I can shoot it out with all my amps whenever I want. And every time I shoot my amplifiers out, they get better, you know, because there's things about this amp that this one doesn't have, but I try to dial those things in and vice versa. And I just have these things at all of the best settings they could be in right now, at least for my taste. So let's go ahead and hear what the Nitro sounds like with the settings that I have. And I realize that yours is a little bit different than mine regarding the amount of watts, and it doesn't have a resonance knob, but try these settings and see what you come up with. And I always boost my amps. I know the Nitro is pretty tight, but I'm using the Grid Slammer right now, and the level is all the way up, gain all the way down, and the tone is cranked on it. So that's how I have that pedal set up with this amplifier, and it really sounds amazing. So let's go ahead and hear what it sounds like now. Yeah, that sounds freaking gnarly as hell, dude. This is one hell of a gnarly amp. You know, the thing is the Splawn Nitros, at least Splawn amps in general, aren't known for metal amps, but I think they do metal pretty well, especially the Nitro. That is a nasty amplifier. So if you set it up the way that I have mine set up and boost it, it's going to sound freaking evil. So if that's what you're looking for, hopefully this little segment helped you out. All right, so the next comment is from Xavier Fonseca. I think it's Xavier. It starts with a J, but I think it's supposed to be pronounced Z. So I apologize if I'm not pronouncing your name right. So anyways, he said, being a newbie, a beginner, an unexperienced gear user, a guitar aficionado, or an ignorant in these matters, I really thank you so very much for all of the useful things I learned from your video. And congrats for not being born a freaking idiot. Well, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. I think there's a bit of a language barrier here, so I'm going to kind of interpret what he said here in the beginning. I guess to summarize, he's just saying that he's not, you know, some kind of guitar virtuoso who knows everything about gear. And he's thanking me for the information he learned from my video, Top 4 Metal Amps Under $1,000. Now, I know that some people watch my channel and they think like, maybe, I don't know, I've heard this through the grapevine, they think I'm some bougie amp guy. Yeah, I have some bougie amps here, and I also drink bougie, you know, mushroom coffee from time to time, which is actually really good, by the way. You should try it. But it doesn't mean that I just like bougie amps and expensive amps. I like good amps. I don't care if they cost $1 or $1,000. It doesn't matter. If it sounds good, it is good. And the thing is this channel isn't just about high-end gear. It's about good gear. So, I mean, I have a MT15. I have a freaking Iconic. You know, those aren't expensive amps, and I think they're awesome. I think they're great amps. So I like to do videos not just about the bougie stuff, but I also like doing videos about stuff that's affordable, because I can appreciate some affordable gear as well. And you guys know I harp on overpriced gear all the time. I don't mind expensive gear, but I don't like gear that's expensive that isn't worth the money. That gear is overpriced in my opinion. So I'm happy to do videos about affordable gear for you guys. In fact, today I just shot a video about the X-Space pedal by Amplitude. And what an amazing reverb pedal that costs a lot less than the Big Sky from Strymon, and I think it's just as good. I think it offers a lot for the money. So I'm all about giving you guys advice on gear that's affordable and is a good bang for the buck as well, not just the expensive stuff. So Xavier, I'm glad that you enjoyed the video. Thanks so much for commenting. I appreciate it very much. All right, so the next comment is from Crim6 574, KRYMSIX 574. However you pronounce that. And he says, anyone looking for an educated review and tips on how to dial in the tone should check out John Brown review of the Pitbull from a few years ago. Now bear with me guys, I'm just reading these things as they're written, and sometimes it doesn't make a lot of sense the way it's written, so just doing the best I can here. This guy talks about how he doesn't like the amp being responsive to picking dynamics. So what do you want? Your amp to just sound the same regardless of how you play? I'm surprised this guy has an Engel, considering they're also pretty dry and ice pick sounding. Really? Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. It sounds like the amp you got had some ruined tubes or poor biasing. These amps are very dry and cut through a mix very well. I beg to differ. This seems a lot like a mechanic blaming his tools. The VHT Fryette stuff takes some patience to dial in terms of settings, but these amps shred. Well, okay, maybe you should take a class on how to type. Some of these sentences don't make any sense. Well, all right, first of all, it's not a mechanic blaming his tools. All right, so this is definitely not a mechanic blaming his tools. If I don't like an amplifier, I don't like it. Not everybody likes every amp. There's people that'll come over my house and play through amps that I love and be like, it's not for me. I'm not gonna look at the guy and go, oh, it's your fault you don't like the amplifier. We're all different. That's why there's so many different amplifiers out there. Everybody likes something different. Now the thing is Fryettes aren't called dryettes for no reason. I mean, they're very dry, they're dull, they don't have a lot of character and texture to them. They're just flat and dull sounding. And no matter what you do to them, they just sound flat and dull. I don't know how many times I've tried Fryette stuff, and every time I plug into it, I'm like, what's wrong with this thing? It's just lifeless. You almost want to get the paddles out and be like, clear. I mean, it just sounds like a dull, dead amp. I mean, they just don't work for me. Now, if John Brown can make it sound good to him, good for John Brown. John Brown's an amazing guitar player, and I have a lot of respect for him. And the thing is, though, is what people have to realize is a lot of times when you watch videos on YouTube, you'll hear a guy playing through an amp and it sounds great to you, right? I mean, you're like, oh, that sounds really good. And then you get that amp and then you play it with the same settings and you're like, this doesn't sound good to me. What am I doing wrong? It just doesn't sound good. Honestly, it's probably a feel thing. You probably don't like how it feels. Believe it or not, we listen with our hands. So a lot of times, if we like the way an amp sounds, and then we plug into it, and then suddenly we don't like it anymore, it's probably because we don't like the way it feels. And that's what I'm talking about with the Fryette stuff. It doesn't respond well to my picking style anyways. Now, I mean, him saying, like, what do I want, an amp to have no dynamics? No, I want an amp to have dynamics. That amp is a dead fish, in my opinion. There's no dynamics to the picking dynamics at all. It just all sounds flat and lifeless to me. Now, maybe it had some bad tubes in it. I don't know. It seems like that's the first place everybody goes when I say I don't like an amplifier. They're like, oh, it's probably got bad tubes in it. No, it's probably just not an amp that works for me. I mean, that's just the way it is. And again, it could be because of the way it feels. So maybe if you're listening to the video and you're like, wow, that thing sounds great, and all of a sudden I say, yeah, I don't really care for it, and you think I'm crazy, again, it might be the hands. It might be I just don't like the way it feels when I play it. And I don't like to have to work my amps really hard to get them to do what I want them to do. I don't want to beat my amp into submission. I just want it to just meet me halfway and help me do the things that I'm doing. I like an amp that just kind of goes with me and accentuates things and has great dynamics. And I don't have to beat the crap out of it to get those dynamics to come out. So again, just because I don't like an amplifier, it doesn't mean it's my fault. It could be the amp. It could be the way it sounds, could be the way it feels, it could be both. Now, as far as the Engel goes, him saying that it's ice picky and dry, I mean, the Engel's pretty saturated. I mean, channel 4 is a very saturated, ridiculous channel, and I don't know where he's getting that whole, like, ice picky thing. In fact, let's fire up the Engel right now and play some riffs on it, and I guarantee you're not going to hear any ice picky sounds coming out of it. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounded pretty freaking good to me, and I didn't hear any ice picky sounds coming out of the amp at all. The Engel Savage is amazing. Channel 4 is a money channel. It's real smooth, but it's got a lot of great saturation, articulation, and aggression to it, and I just love this freaking amplifier. So anybody says that it's ice picky, either needs their hearing checked or doesn't know how to dial in the amplifier. So you know, right back at you, dude. You know, if you think that Engel Savage sounds ice picky, maybe you're the mechanic blaming your tools because you don't know how to dial one of those in. And if I recall with the VHT Pitbull, I tried everything. I tried every setting I could with that amplifier and could not get that thing to sound good. It just sounded dull, lifeless. It was like a dead fish. I mean, I just can't stand those amplifiers. They just don't work for me. Now, does that mean that they're not good amps? No. There's plenty of people that like them, and it's like, well, if you like those amplifiers, good for you. You found the right thing that works for you. They just don't work for me. It's pretty much that simple, and it's not my fault. Okay, so this next comment is from the melody of CH ... whatever the hell that means. He says, Kemper 2 is probably not going to happen anytime soon. In an interview, the owner said that liquid profiling is the thing now, and when he was asked about a possible Kemper 2, he reacted like it was not going to happen for the moment. Again, I'm reading these things as they're written. All right, so basically he took Chris Kemper's statement about liquid profiling being a new feature that the Kemper has to offer as we don't need a new Kemper because it does liquid profiling. Liquid profiling doesn't make the Kemper profile better. All it is he's modeling the tone stack of different amplifiers so that we can superimpose those tone stacks on top of the amplifiers that they are related to, and use that modeled tone stack just like a modeler. So it's basically the best of both worlds. You get the profiling aspect so you can get the tone and the feel of the amplifier, and then you get the modeling aspect regarding the tone stack and the different knobs that are on the amp, and maybe the switches as well. So, I mean, that's really cool, but it doesn't mean that there doesn't need to be a new Kemper. I mean, the interface still sucks ass, and the profiling algorithm still needs to be updated so that it's better, more accurate, and doesn't need to be refined, and is more consistent. So we still need a whole new Kemper, and liquid profiling is not going to fix any of those things. Number one. Number two, you also fell for the oldest trick in the book, and Chris Kemper is the best at it. It's called obfuscating. So he's obfuscating the whole thing, okay? He basically, in the interview, I saw it, Tone Junkie, shout out to Tone Junkie, interviewed him and said, what about the Kemper 2? And Chris Kemper said, why don't I just go back to making keyboards? I mean, he basically does that every time you ask him anything about updating the Kemper. I've seen so many interviews at NAMM shows and everything else where people go up to him and, what's next for Kemper? And what's the first thing out of Chris Kemper's mouth? Why do I need to do anything? It has everything. What else needs to be done? It does all the things that you want it to do. It doesn't need to be updated. And a couple months later, we get new reverbs or we get overdrive pedals or whatever. He does it all the time. He's always misdirecting with the comments and with the answers. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. It's just Chris Kemper keeps his cards close to his vest. And if you notice, Kemper never announces anything in advance. Like, they never say, hey guys, we're working on this and it'll be out soon. They don't talk about anything, especially when it comes to new products. Remember when the Kemper Stage came out? There was just a video one day, Kemper Stage, here it is, and a bunch of videos and like pictures of it and everything. And they were all in the warehouse the exact same day the video came out and ready to ship. That's how Kemper does stuff. They don't announce anything until there's warehouses full of those products and they're ready to ship the same day that the announcement or the video comes out. So you're not going to hear anything about Kemper 2 until the day of. You know, when it comes out and there's a video about it, it's not an announcement saying coming soon. It's going to be like, they're here, they're ready to ship, click the link and get them now. That's how Kemper does things. And until then, he's going to continue to just, deny everything and not answer questions directly. And he's going to, obfuscate and just not answer the way you want him to. He's not going to give you any hints. He's going to completely go in the opposite direction and give you the impression that nothing is being worked on and nothing's ever going to happen. That's just how he does things. And the thing is it's smart as a business owner. I mean, what's he supposed to do? Say, yeah, it's coming soon or whatever when Tone Junkie asks him that? What happens to all the Kempers that are sitting in warehouses at all the retailers that he's partners with? They just sit there and rot and collect dust until the new unit comes out. So he can't say that they're coming out, and he can't say they're coming out soon or anything like that, because there's going to be a freeze on buying all the Kempers that are in the warehouses right now, because everybody always wants the next new shiny thing. So instead, they're working on it. It's probably already done or close to being done, in my opinion. And they're dropping the prices of the current Kempers to kind of move them out of the warehouses to make room for the new ones. Guys, I'm a business owner. I've been a business owner for 23 years. I think like a business owner. I don't think like a guitar player, okay? I think like a business owner who happens to play guitar. So I'm pretty sure that they're coming. I don't know when. I don't have an inside scoop on them, but everything leads to that as far as the clues that I see with my business owner vision. And I think it's time that they come out anyways, because it's been 11 years since a new Kemper's been built. And I'm not talking about, you know, the Kemper stage. That, in my opinion, is not a new Kemper. It's just a new form factor of the Kemper. It's not a new Kemper. There's nothing different about that other than form factor and the fact that it's got Wi-Fi in it. But that's about it. So there has to be a new ground up, new blueprint Kemper coming out. And I know Chris is working on it. He's not stupid. He's a smart guy. Keeps his cards close to his vest. So keep your eyes open. And just remember, you heard it here first. Okay, this next question is from Jason Fife 2751. He asks, if you were using a tube screamer with this MT15, where would you set the gain and volume settings? Thank you for making these videos. This is one of my favorite guitar channels. Oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate the kind words. I really do. I'm so glad that you enjoy the channel. So, and just for you, here's what I did. I actually set up an overdrive pedal here, the tube screamer, and I'm going to go ahead and fire up the MT15 right now. And let's find the best settings. Let's do that right now. All right, that actually sounds really good. So as you can see, I have the gain all the way down, volume all the way up, tones in the middle. Let's mess around with the tone knob right now and just see if we can find a better spot for that. This is kind of a dark amp, so you can get away with pushing the tone knob a little bit on some of these overdrive pedals, but let's see what works best with this one. Okay, so if you have the tone all the way down, it dulls the pedal down a little bit and it takes some of that aggression off the top end. At noon, you could get away with having it at noon. You know, it actually sounds really good at noon, but if you want to really push it and get some extra, you know, extra grit and aggression out of it, depending on where you have the gain set. So you might want to turn your gain down a little bit if you're going to crank the tone knob up, which I didn't do, but I'm just doing a quick video for you here. But I think 1 o'clock is actually really good if you want to keep the gain where it's at. But if you want to push it past that, you know, crank it all the way up, or 3 o'clock or something like that, and get a little more extra aggression out of the pedal, I mean, you could definitely do that and it would sound really good. So depending on your pickups, see if you have lower output pickups, maybe that tone knob might be your best friend. You know, it can help you out a little bit by giving that amp a little extra push with the higher end frequencies, maybe high mids or whatever frequencies it's pushing. It seems like it just makes the amp more responsive and more aggressive, and it makes it feel a little more saturated as well. So depending on all those things, I think if you have the gain all the way down, because the amp's got plenty of gain, you don't need to add any more to it. So gain all the way down, level or volume all the way up, and then take the tone knob past noon. Depending on, you know, all those things, put it between noon and all the way up. Find your sweet spot with it. And I'm telling you, even at 1 o'clock, you notice a difference. And if you really want to see what this pedal's doing, or any overdrive's doing, go to your clean channel and mess with the knobs while you're playing, and you'll hear a lot more clearly what the pedal's doing and what frequencies it's pushing. And I'm telling you, everybody should do that with their overdrive pedals. Go to your clean channel and see what's really going on. Because when you have all that gain, the gain kind of hides the exact frequencies and exactly what's going on with these pedals. But on a clean channel, you can hear exactly what's going on with them much clearer. So I hope that helps you out. Okay, so the last comment that I have is from Michael Gallegos. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Might as well end this on a high note, and I could really use this today, so I really appreciate this comment. And he says, "You are a great player, Jarrod. I don't know why you are not on tour or selling lots of music. The MT15 has been on my wish list for some time. I should try and get one before price goes up. Guitars are like 300 more on all kinds of guitars, and Fender and Yamaha guitars are going up in August. And I thought they just went up." Anyway, great video as always. Well, Michael, thank you so much. I really appreciate that immensely. You know, one of the things that I'm really self-conscious about is my playing on the channel, because you know, the thing is when you're playing on the channel, you know, publicly, you know, for the whole world to see, if you make a mistake, there's always some idiot that's going to make fun of you, or, "Oh yeah, you're sloppy," or "You're not real tight on this," or whatever. I get that from time to time. It used to bug the crap out of me, but now I just do my thing. I don't care anymore, you know. So I appreciate the kind words very much. You know, all I hear are my mistakes when I play. I don't hear anything I do well. I'm always trying to correct myself and try to be better. So I mean, it's always nice when somebody on the outside that's looking in says kind words about my playing. I really appreciate that very much, because you have no idea how much I beat the crap out of myself internally about my playing. So thank you. And as far as why ain't I on tour or selling music, I appreciate that as well. I do have a solo album coming out, hopefully in August. TJ's working on it right now on the mix and everything, and Carrie's got to sing on one of the tracks. So once all that's done, I will release it, and I have 2 videos that I shot last November that I've been sitting on waiting to release so I can promote the album with them. So I do have music coming out, and I can't wait to share it with you guys, and I really appreciate you asking about that. And why ain't I on tour? You know, I think my band days are over. You know, I've paid my dues with the whole band thing, and honestly, I'd rather just do YouTube. I love just having my backing tracks here and not dealing with all of the things that are associated with being in a band with people. You know, people can get sometimes, you know, and I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to try to keep it positive here. But I've just had my fill of that, and I'm a lot happier doing what I'm doing here. So I just feel more fulfilled doing this. So, but again, I appreciate the kind words very much. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you. And I hope to see you in some of our live streams. You know, feel free to join us on Sunday nights at 7. We just hang out. I play a bunch of stuff. You know, Carrie reads comments. We respond to you guys live and have Q&A sessions. It's a lot of fun. So hope to see you in one of the live streams in the chat. Well, guys, that'll be all for today's episode. Thank you so much for hanging with me. I hope you enjoyed hearing, well, geez, you heard 3 different amps in this video. That's kind of cool, huh? So I hope I gave you enough a variety of things to enjoy in this video. And I appreciate the comments very much. I even appreciate the ones where they disagree with me and even get a little rude with me, because, hey, it gives me content, gives me reasons to, you know, have more content, more riffs and responses videos. So if you have something rude to say to me, go ahead. I'll go ahead and respond to it. I don't mind. You're not going to hurt my feelings. You know, we're all adults here, but if you do disagree with me about some things, feel free to disagree with me. I don't know everything. And a lot of times when people disagree with each other, somebody learns something out of that. So I'm all about that as well. I'm not above learning, you know. I'm just a guy on YouTube talking about what I'm experiencing here in the room, so and sharing it with you guys. So anyways, and if you really want to support my channel, go to tonewars.com. And if you play Quad Cortex, Kemper, ToneX, get some captures for those, and I'm telling you, you'll love them. I mean, there's some really good high gain and clean captures for you guys to enjoy. They're selling like crazy, and I really appreciate everybody that's buying those. I've gotten a lot of good feedback on those. So I really appreciate that very much, and I have more to come very soon on all three of those platforms for you guys. Well, to all my subscribers and Patreon supporters, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you guys. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, click the bell so that you can be notified every time I either go live or come out with a new episode. Well, I got a lot more stuff coming up for you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.